An expert on Russia's military says the invasion of Ukraine isn't going as Putin planned. So what happens next?
Helping the people of Ukraine, what to do to make sure your donations are going to the right place.
Helping small businesses and nonprofits recover from the pandemic.
Plus, day 2 of public hearings on how to reduce our electric bills.
And a San Marcos couple who wants to share a music and history lesson.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts now.
Russian attacks on Ukraine continue. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Ukraine's president is calling an attack on the central square in the country's second largest city an act of terror. He says the Freedom Square in Kharkiv is not a legitimate military target, and a 40-mile Russian convoy is moving closer to Ukraine's capital tonight.
As Deborah Alfarone reports, Russia's defense ministry warns that it will strike sites in Kyiv to prevent what it calls information attacks on Russia.
Eyewitness video captured the moment a Russian missile struck a television tower in the capital, Kyiv, as a 40-mile Russian convoy remained stalled on the outskirts of the city. The deadly attack came on the same day Russian forces targeted this administration building, as well as a residential neighborhood in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, killing several people and wounding dozens.
Мы боремся за наши права.
In an emotional address before the European Parliament, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said his nation is fighting to survive this brutal Russian invasion. And in a sign of solidarity, European Union ambassadors at a UN conference walked out with Ukraine when Russia's foreign minister began his address.
We must reject Russia's attempts to falsely justify this attack as a defense of human rights.
The U.S. and other world powers are set to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves to help ease rising gas prices that have skyrocketed since the Russian invasion started.
President Biden also held a call with President Zelensky for just over 30 minutes. They discussed further sanctions against Russia and defense assistance for Ukraine. On Tuesday, House Republicans argued that assistance should include weapons.
They need some air defense support. They need ammunition. They need rifles, machine guns, and others.
Earlier in the day, about 150 lawmakers donned blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian flag, as they stood on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. The White House has asked Congress to approve $6.4 billion in humanitarian and military aid for Ukraine. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
As we witness the assault on Ukraine unfold, many of us here are looking for ways that we can help.
But how can you ensure that your donations are going straight to the people who need it most? CBS 8's Shannon Handy has some answers.
I'm here at the Salvation Army, which has been collecting donations to send directly to Ukraine. It's one of several legitimate places you can donate to, but there's also a lot of scams out there, so it's important to know what to look out for.
Chopper 8 captured this message at Black's Beach in La Jolla.
I promise you, real.
It's one of many ways San Diegans have shown their support for the Ukrainian people. But beyond these demonstrations from afar, many are looking for ways to send help directly to those in need.
Well, people certainly have wanted to help and are very touched by this situation.
Lieutenant Colonel Lee Liscano is with the Salvation Army. They've started collecting cash donations, saying anything non-monetary is too difficult to send.
It's certainly easy to give blankets or clothing, but almost impossible for us to get in there. And the cost of shipping to get there would just be phenomenal.
Liscano says on the Salvation Army's website, people can select an option ensuring every dollar of what they give goes straight to Ukraine. The organization already had sites in Ukraine and its surrounding areas. So far, donations collected have gone to help people with immediate needs like hygiene kits and shelter. They've also been able to transport people to safety.
A mother with 2 young children was trying to get to her family in Germany, actually went from Salvation Army unit to Salvation Army unit.
While the Salvation Army is a good place to start, there's a number of other ways you can give. But how do you know it's going to the right place?
Yeah, well, you want to give with your heart, but you also want to give with your head.
Kevin Scally is with CharityNavigator.org, a website that evaluates nonprofits. Over the past week, he says traffic has increased 50%, and donations to charities responding to the crisis have gone up 3,000%. So far, the site has recommended over a dozen organizations to help in the Ukrainian crisis. If you have others in mind, check to see if they're registered as a 501c3 nonprofit. Ask to ensure your money goes straight to the source and don't give in to pressure.
It's okay to take some time to determine how and where you want to give, and look for a clear, articulated strategy for how the nonprofit is responding to the crisis.
Meanwhile, Ukrainians living in San Diego tell CBS 8 they're giving directly to bank accounts or Amazon wish lists set up in their home country. For information on that and some other helpful tips, log on to CBS8.com and click on this story.
Thanks, Shannon. 2 men were arrested for setting off a pipe bomb at a hotel in Kearny Mesa thanks to tips from the public. The device went off about 10:30 last Thursday morning on the second floor of the 4 Points by Sheraton on Arrow Drive near Kearny Villa Road. Today, authorities announced the arrest of 39-year-old Grover Everett and 30-year-old Hans Sarda. No one was hurt, but the hotel was damaged. Sidewalk vendors,
I'll take it. Sidewalk vendors have a new set of rules to follow here in San Diego. Today, the full city council took up a plan to implement new regulations. The ordinance passed 6-3. It bans street vending along busy beaches and high traffic areas like Balboa Park, Little Italy, and the Gas Lamp, but only during the summer season. It also establishes protected zones for vendors in other areas. The push continues to help small businesses and nonprofits that suffered during the pandemic.
Today, Mayor Todd Gloria announced an additional $6 million has been added to a COVID-19 relief fund dedicated to help these organizations and businesses get on stronger footing. The money comes from the federal government as well as the San Diego Foundation.
CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal has more on who's receiving these grants.
We're at the Sherman Heights Community Center. It is one of the grant recipients, and like a lot of local nonprofits, keeping the doors open during the pandemic has been hard. Mayor Todd Gloria says helping places like this is important.
We can't forget the businesses, small local businesses, nonprofit organizations that still need help. You know, many of them have done everything they can to just hang on by the tips of their fingers, and efforts like what we're talking about today are a way to make sure that they can see a path in a future where they're still here a year or two from now.
During a news conference Tuesday, Mayor Todd Gloria announced an additional $6 million for the city's Small Business and Nonprofit Relief Fund program, bringing the total to $12 million. The mayor discussed the importance of reaching businesses and nonprofits in underserved neighborhoods, places that oftentimes are overlooked. He says the COVID-19 grants were awarded to businesses that didn't qualify for PPP loans or who hadn't previously received any funding related to COVID. The grants range anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. Owners can use the money for all kinds of things, like hiring employees or paying back rent. Among the recipients, the Women's Museum of California. It's currently moving from Point Loma to the Jacobs Center in southeastern San Diego. Director Felicia Shaw says the money has already made a difference. They've started hiring.
2 positions that are going to be really amazing and important for our organization to do community outreach, programming. And these are young women of color who were unemployed before this happened. And so we're doing the work.
And just on a side note, she said when she received that $100,000 check, she almost fell over. She said she's used to getting checks maybe for $1,000 or $10,000 grants, but she said $100,000 will go a long way. Now, Mayor Gloria says so far about 1,500 small businesses have been helped with this grant money and more than 150 nonprofits. Kelly Hessedal, CBS 8.
So wonderful to see them getting the help that they need. Thanks, Kelly. County Health is reporting 533 new COVID-19 cases in San Diego County. 5 more deaths are being reported today as well. COVID-related hospitalizations continue to drop, falling from 424 from 435 on Monday. The average number of positive COVID-19 tests also fell to 5.2% today, compared to 5.7% on Friday.
We know a lot of our viewers are amped up about sky-high utility rates in San Diego. Today, the California Public Utilities Commission talked about ways to lower those rates.
As CBS 8's David Godfredson reports, commissioners also heard from members of the public.
Hi, thanks for listening to me. I'm just an average public school teacher. San Diego County school teacher Jennifer Broderick called in and gave the Public Utilities Commission panel an earful about her rising electricity rates.
For an average middle-class person, all these things start adding up. And then when I see that you've got people on your board who are making $23 million a year, it's infuriating.
A Pacific Gas and Electric vice president admitted customers can't afford these high bills.
We saw this increase coming. This is what's projected, and we are now in the thick of it, and it sucks.
Over the two-day affordability workshop, speakers proposed several solutions. Lowering utility profit rates on capital projects could result in a 5% reduction of electricity rates. Making California taxpayers pay for low-income assistance programs, about a 6% reduction. Public ownership of transmission lines, a 4% reduction. And charging all customers a fixed $20 per month charge results in a 13% reduction overall in electricity rates. SDG&E's Vice President Dan Skopik said he supported a fixed charge for all customers.
I think the Commission should move forward with that $10 fixed charge as soon as possible, and then we'll certainly have to work together on legislation to authorize a fixed charge higher than $10.
Consumer advocate Gabriela Sandoval with the Utility Reform Network said the monthly charges should not be imposed on low-income customers.
I just want to make clear Turn's position. We continue to oppose a flat fixed charge. If it were a $10 fixed charge for customers who can afford it, then that's a different story.
The most controversial proposal of the day would require utilities to include an inflation-constrained alternative proposal when they apply for a rate hike every 4 years.
I think it would be beneficial if we created a linkage between consumer budgets and utility rate requests.
Now, the way that idea would work is every 4 years when the utilities have to submit their proposal for rate increases, they would have to submit an alternate proposal that does not exceed the current inflation rate. None of the utilities in attendance supported that idea, needless to say.
Yeah, not a big surprise there, David. Okay, will this rate affordability workshop actually lead to any changes? Can we see any relief actually coming out of this?
Well, it's going to take some time because some of those ideas have to get legislative approval. But I will say I have to take my hat off to that San Diego County teacher who called in and told them that she was amped up.
Perhaps she's been watching us. We hope so, and we hope we can get some action and get some relief for her and the other customers who are really going through a lot with these rising bills. David Goffredson reporting live. Thanks, David. And don't forget, you can text the word AMPed to 858-571-8888 to see all of our recent amped up coverage or give your feedback to SDG&E.
Major League Baseball's opening day is out.
It's the first time in 27 years that the MLB will lose regular season games over a labor dispute as the owners lock the players out. Talks collapsed ahead of management's deadline this afternoon, and the Players Association rejected a final offer on what was the 9th straight day of negotiations. Opening day was scheduled for March 31st. Our Jake Garriani will have the latest ahead in sports.